Hello, everyone. Welcome to School After Hours podcast, where we talk about the real work behind successful out of school time programs, education, leadership, and youth development. I'm your host, Jay Lee, and today we're digging back into the catalog and pulling out an oldie but a goodie. As we get ready for another school year, I thought it was the perfect time to revisit a conversation about something that can make or break your program: relationships and culture. In this episode, I'm joined by a dear friend and fellow youth development consultant, Cornelia Cooper. We're talking about what it really takes to become part of a school's culture, not just another program that's operating in the building. From knowing your role and identifying the key players to building a brand that makes your program the one everyone talks about, we'll be exploring how small gestures like a cup of coffee or a holiday note in a teacher's mailbox can open doors you didn't even know were closed. And we'll dig into the power of simply showing up during the school day and why visibility might be your most underrated strategy. Whether you're a site coordinator, a program director, or someone who just cares about young people, this conversation is packed with real world actionable advice. With that being said, let's get into it. Go ahead and tell the people about yourself. Tell them a little bit about you and how you got involved in out of school time programming. Like, what was your process? Is this something that you always wanted to do, or this is just kind of something like you fell into and loved? So tell them a little bit about yourself and how your out of school time journey happened.
Yeah, so that's interesting, but I always feel called to it, right? And so, of course, Jay Lee, love this work, out of school time work. I've been an educator, consultant, work with out of school time leaders, directors, principals, educators, all in the nonprofit and public school space, Baltimore public city schools at that, for like over 15 years. I'm passionate about the work. And I feel that the passion derived from when I was younger. I had a very strong mentor who was also my basketball coach, and his name was Walter Spencer. And he took me under his wing. And from there, we also worked with other younger kids who grew up in similar households like myself, single parent household. My mom worked very long hours, but she was very rigorous on making sure that we obtained education, but then also had at least exposures to as many activities as we can, free, of course. And that's why I appreciate that. And I think it's within my due diligence to give back consistently. I do not feel that I have served somewhat of my purpose in life until I continue to be an advocate for our young people, but also continue to work in the space for them to thrive. And so with that, working with nonprofits, Baltimore City schools, I even work with Baltimore City housing under multiple programs. And I'm just led to this, immediately drawn to this. I love helping parents who need support with knowing where their child is on grade level, resources. I love helping young people. I love training staff, giving them insight. You know, like we coined the term, we'll talk a lot about what is adultism in the out of school time space. And then you kind of get this aha moment, like some of our parents were using that on us. Like, do as I say, not as I do. And don't you dare go back to your parents and say, Mom, that was an adultist tone. Right? Because we know what happened. But learning and being an educator, working in the field, I really appreciate that overall, but mainly inspired from my upbringing and who was around me. I had a lot of mentors playing basketball since I was 9 years old. I mean, it was a great deal, but I strongly believe that it was the folks I became connected with. And along the way, that was really instrumental in my life, helped me to pursue college, helped me to want to give back to our communities, and not give back, but like embody and invest yourself into your community so other students, other children like you know what it takes to get where you are and have the drive, community, and support to do so.
Awesome. So my next question for you is, with that experience, what was your first out of school time job?
that I probably did for free 99. And so I believe my first out of school time job was working in the Sandtown, Winchester area over on Gilmore Street and working with young people, like they were mostly middle school, and helping them through programs to get them, whether it was getting them excited about college, if they needed help with after school. Homework was like a big deal back then, getting homework completed. Testing was big deal back then. And so I really appreciate the Sandtown Winchester to that accord, because they were really tight knit communities, similar to like the Cherry Hill community that I worked with. But I remember working back then, and I was full time working at the hair salon and full time going to school. I believe that at that time it may have been Community College of Baltimore, or it may have been like Towson University. But I came there and worked part time because I felt this dire need to work and serve in the communities that need the most support, right? Mm-hmm. So that was like really big for me, and it worked out well. Worked out well. Still in connection with those kids today, even though I was like a kid myself.
So you've seen the babies grow and be adults, and then watch them adulting.
Talk about adulting in another segment, child.
There's a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. So when building relationships in your school environment, what are some key things to keep in mind for out of school time programming site coordinators or site directors?
Yeah, building relationships is key. That's just like the foundation of society, right? It's not always about what you know. Sometimes it's who you know. But I think it's a little bit of both. But I think when building relationships in school environment, things that I would consider to keep in mind is know your role. Your role as an out of school time provider could be small circuit, but as an out of school time program, what is your program's role within the school community can really help you to define what relationships you would need to make within the school. And what I mean by that is, like, how do you fit into the school success plan? If you're an out of school time program and you're serving just meals from, K through 8, great. But that doesn't negate you being able to partner with a program that services an out of school time and provides enrichment, some type of art program. And so you may be servicing the same students, same children, or maybe even brothers or sisters of the program. Why not work together? If you want to get some insight about how to reach more people so they can come to your meal program, using one of the programs that are currently existing in the school, being in connection where here, like in Baltimore City, most of the public schools, they have community school coordinators that really are allies in support with serving the school community within the community. And so that's really crucial. And I appreciate their role because it's really been helpful to out of school time programs and then parents within itself. So that's like one area, like know your role, and then how you fit into the school community can help you build those types of relationships. Know who the key players are within the school building, the administrator, the teachers, the school liaisons, other partnering organizations, but don't leave out the custodial staff. Oh my goodness. The custodial staff and the secretaries are the gatekeepers to the school building. And that's really important because making connections with them would allow you to see, one, help your program thrive, of course, but then the connections with them you can build upon and see what are the stronger needs within the school that your program can help support, or partnering with other programs to help provide for that need. And an example I would just say is like out of school time, an opportunity for you to connect with other programs. And sometimes you're both attending out of school time program funding meetings. Or when you're connecting with the administrators can connect you to maybe the assistant principal who says, here's what we are working on this school year. And we have 2 current partners who are providing out of school time services. We would love for your program to also be a part of them. That's the continuation, right? And then I'm going to wrap that in with 3. building a rapport. And so building a rapport is really key to building relationships, because you want to have like a brand for your out of school time program. And especially like as an out of school time liaison, director, whatever your role is, even down to the staff who are serving in multiple capacities. And so let's say your school event is having community block party. Be a part of that. Pull a table out. Recruit some parents to come. Hold a flag up. Have them wear your T-shirt.
Right.
Parent-teacher associations, huge, big parent-teacher nights. That's a great opportunity to continue to build relationships in the school environment, but get FaceTime with everyone. Make sure that you know who's who and who does what, especially around the grade levels that you may be currently working. If it's like K through 8, K through 5, K through 12 that you're currently servicing, and then how you can continue to build and connect with the folks who matter within the building. I can add another tidbit.
Go ahead.
And so, just to wrap that up with building rapport, something that I thought about with the out of school time and program, and having worked with a previous program, knowing the custodial staff and having a great relationship with them will help you along the way. There are times where you may need a classroom clean. If you're sharing a classroom space, you may need a classroom clean. And having a great rapport with the custodial staff can not only get that classroom clean, but probably get that door unlocked so you can make sure that you didn't leave any of your out of school time program materials in that teacher's space that you shouldn't have. Again, but also if there's times that your program is serving dinner, or you may need to open up on a Saturday with the principal or administrative permission. They don't have to come in if they're entrusting that they have a great relationship with the custodial staff. That's a connection there. There's many times that was an experience that we were able to be a part of, given that we were after school program providers, but then also did Saturday events and allowed for custodial staff to really support and opening up.
My next question for you is, based on your experience, what are some of the ways that you have integrated out of school time program culture with a new or existing school culture?
So culture within itself, I'm really big on culture. I'm big on school culture. I think that's a breeding ground and an opportunity for students to thrive based on some organic school culture commitments, and then also having great teachers. But I often think back as like, how can I or this program organically but intentionally, like we're talking specifically intentionally, immerse oneself into the school community, right? I'm circling back to, what is your role in the school community in order for you to be able to coexist within the school's culture? There's oftentimes we walk into school cultures that may not necessarily be a culture that we can see our programs being represented well. They may need some support with staffing. Maybe sometimes there's some adultism going on, but then sometimes it's just a redirect or leadership or some cohesiveness that needs to happen. And right. So first off, let me get to the point. Have a culture. Like, what does your program embody? What are the values of your program? And so prehistorically, let's say, I worked with an organization, and definitely they had a culture of excellence, spirit, respect, and collaboration. And that was embodied in the work office, that was embodied in the schools, that was embodied in team meetings. And so that was really imperative. And we used that model and culture to support students and transition that into the school. And so there were some ways that we were able to kind of show what we did as an organization, as an out of school time program, by like having FaceTime. And so what I mean by FaceTime is communication with school leadership. How often are you all meeting? On the one-to-one basis, and school leadership can be the principal. Like, kudos if you're getting a principal meeting on the calendar once a month. Like, that was something we thrive for. That was something that we did because I want them to know that we were front and center and we were allies in serving our kids, right? But then you also may have in Baltimore City Public Schools an opportunity to connect with the community schools coordinator, which is also a liaison that supports the school and reports to it might be an outside agency, but sometimes it's reporting directly to the principal or the assistant principal. And so during that time, FaceTime with school leadership and even teachers, it's being able to participate in grade level meetings. You get to know where your kids stand, academic progress, any behavioral progress, up or down. I don't want to say like necessarily good or bad, but improvements. You get to know a lot about school trainings, parent teacher conferences, really supportive. And that's all about showing up, right? We talk about FaceTime. That's all about showing up. And so an example I want to give is there was a principal, great principal, love her to death. And she was a principal at a school that we were currently resided in, and reached out to us and wanted me to actually do a training during her week. It's kind of like this week where teachers are being trained right before students are going back to school. And she wanted me to do a training on our culture and what our culture embodies within schools and then also within the program. And so it's not teach my students or teach my teachers how to demonstrate excellence. It's like, what does excellence look like in your program? What does respect look like in your program? What does spirit look like in your program? What does collaboration look like in your program? And how that transitions into the classroom. You know, we sometimes think like turn off the school day, turn on the after school, but we begin to mend the two like a melting pot. And so being able to, one, get FaceTime with teachers, you couldn't tell us nothing. Now we got the teachers in the training setting, and they gotta listen to us, right? It's like rock on. But no, what was really exciting about that is we got to see all of the teachers, even the teachers that we didn't necessarily work with because of our middle school grades. We were able to teach them about what the program was about, how we can support them, and got opportunities to hear feedback from them that propelled us into the after school. So some of the feedback is, oh, I have a student that you may have coming into that grade, and it would be great if you can support us with that. Or in vice versa, how can we help you? We love that. Help us help you. And we were able to really make connections, get some FaceTime, but then also get some time on those teachers' calendars and talk to them a little bit more about our program, but also we may be using your classroom. Right. So we need to connect. Right. So, and that was like just like really important. And showing up, like lunchtime visits, school events, one-on-ones with the teachers, like showing up with them, you know, getting them a little, you know, $3, $4 cup of coffee. I don't know what it is now. I get one of those Starbucks dragon fruit refreshers. Oh my God, the venti. It's $6. Gotta budget that. But you know, sometimes that's just a small gesture of just saying, hey, I see you, which is really important. You can learn more about a teacher, the culture, what they embody, more to speak, and what they value when you're speaking of the type of program. And it gives you some FaceTime. It gives your program some name recognition. So yeah.
So you get recognition, you get visibility, you also get connections and opportunities in those situations because you showed up and because you were present and because you were sharing and building relationships. You never know if that is going to be a connection to something later on down the road, because how well you represented not just yourself, but also your organization. So keeping those things in mind at the same time, you may be able to get yourself turned on to a different type of community service that you may need for your kids in the present up and coming year. Yeah. So showing up and being present is important.
Yeah. And sometimes it was really important because there was oftentimes we might have walked into a school that had a new principal, and sometimes that can be tough on an already embedded school community that was really, you know, and there may have been a transition. Sometimes out of school program leaders can really be more of the middle ground, the bridge that helps see both sides. So like, again, like know your role, being able to get parents on board with coming to some of the school meetings to whether voice some of their opinions, concerns, or even suggestions. You know, there's one thing like we had suggestion box in our out of school time program that was a great opportunity for school leaders to put in. We kind of like located it in the office. So like next to your mailbox, that was like great opportunities. You know, another thing that was cool, you know, I love doing nice things for folks, and it was really important. And so another thing with like immersing in the culture, this is what we do. We greet ourselves, we humble ourselves, but then also, you know, around the holidays, we put like little notices in the teachers' mailboxes, whether it was like a gift of like, I think back then it was maybe like the dry erase markers were a thing, child. Having that, even a brand new pencil sharpener, all these like small little tidbits that you can get from Dollar Tree, but the gesture was really important. And that at a certain point and continue on kind of lends to teachers knowing your program, but knowing who are the leaders within your program and knowing what your program is about. You're not just any out of school time program. You are the out of school time program, and calling it specifically by the name.
Its name, right? So that's how you know you getting there. You getting there.
Mm-hmm,
Like when you could say the name of your organization and there's a little star or a little, twinkle, or you get a
yeah, like
okay.
I know so and so.
I know y'all. All right.
I know Miss Cornelia. She runs the out of school time program here. Oh, shout there, see you over there. So you hear, parents talk, the schools talk, and so it's good to hear that, because then you're in, right? But then what if it may be case that's not the case? Like, you got to really work hard, and a lot of these measures sometimes come out of your work hours, out of your work normal hours. And I'm a firm believer in going above and beyond for any mission that you have been called to serve, and purpose behind it. And I've always known that my purpose, one of my many, which I continue to live in, is to serve others. I do not believe that we're here for ourselves. So
yeah. And we talked a little bit about showing up, right, and being present. So my next question for you is, does showing up during the school day impact your school relationship and fostering culture? If it does, then how so?
Yeah, so that's interesting too, Jay Lee. So there's some schools who sometimes showing up out of your normal out of school time range may disrupt the school day. Kids get super excited, wanting to come out the classroom if they see you. And then there's other schools who welcome that. So again, know the role, but then also know the temperament and the school's culture, current culture, for you to be able to do so. But in recent times, what I've realized is showing up is just the starting point of getting FaceTime during the school day, and also brand yourself, like wear your organization brand, whether it's the hat, whether it's the tie, whether it's the shoes, whether it's the t-shirts. So folks will know when they hear about your program, it's on the back of your shirt. Really helpful for visibility, but then also just, you never know when you need to give a helping hand. It was cool for us to show up to kids' lunchtime, and kids were super excited about that. That's usually one of the times that I think is more widely accepted. It's not interrupting any type of instruction time, which I know that principals, school leaders are really amped about, want to make sure that they protect that time more specifically. And so lunchtime is a great opportunity for you to check in, see if the scholars are there, if they're coming to the after school, but then also check in maybe with some of the teachers while they're on their break, bring them a little lunch. Hey, just checking in. You may be able to catch a principal walking by, want to run some, community event ideas past them. Like, showing up during the school day is really important. I would say that's all out of school time. Leaders definitely have an impact because of the higher visibility, but there's not a question in where the program leaders are. It's like, I see them here during the school day often. But also a way to make sure that you get that visual is if you can get a space. Oh my goodness, if you can get a space in the out of school time, if you don't already have a secret space or a custodial corner, sometimes vouch for that, vouch for that. That way folks know where to find you, and it's not just in passing email, and they know where your mailbox is. If that's an opportunity, be creative about what it looks like. Post your office hours next in the teacher's lounge so that folks can know where to find you and when your program hours are. That also gives an opportunity for teachers to be connected with you.
Well, that brings us to the end of our interview question. So we're going to go ahead and jump to our professionals lounge. All right, y'all. So for Professionals Lounge, Cornelia, my question for you is, for the first time out of school administrators, what do they need to keep in the front of their mind when building relationships in the school environment?
Again, the relationships are key, but your accessibility and your availability during the school day is crucial. So having hours posted what times you're available, your staff. Sometimes it's super friendly to have like those cool pictures of who your staff are for this out of school year. So like for this school year. And then also thinking about ways that you can get on the agenda for the back to school nights or any type of school community activities that are happening prior to the launch of school or even during the first weeks in the launch of school. Again, FaceTime is really important. Wearing your organization's logo, showing up, high-fiving teachers, bring the energy. Like a lot of times, like, you know, the first week super ramped up, teachers are ramped up, but you got to remember that every day won't be the ramped up day. And so bringing the energy is going to be really important to be able to kind of feel out the school, but then also getting more contact with teachers and administrators. And so that's like super important. So accessibility, how accessible are you when you're needed, when your program is needed, when someone needs to communicate with you, and then communicating your availability. Building relationships like is the next level, but not necessarily in order. And so relationship, task, relationship, the RTRs, building the relationship allows tasks to happen after you have a strong relationship. And then after that task has happened, you can continue to savor the relationship. And so an ask may be, for administrators, can you support this parent-teacher night? Would love for you to come in and have a table. Great, that's an opportunity. Capitalize on that. It's a relationship that you're looking to build. You can also bring in more parents and children for your program, but then also this is an additional support for teachers there because you're providing some type of service that continues to help the children that we serve grow. And so that's a great way for you to continue to build a relationship in the school environment. And it provides an opportunity for your out of school time program to be more visual.
Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of our show. If you liked what you heard and you enjoyed our conversation, make sure that you're following us on YouTube, but also hit that like button so we know what you are enjoying. You can also find us on other podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts if you want to listen to our audio version as well. To get more behind the scenes stuff, make sure that you're following us on our social media accounts, Instagram and Facebook at School After Hours. Well, that's all I have for today. In the words of Mr. Arthur Ashe, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Until next time, y'all. Bye-bye.